The massive Imperial warship Eternal Glory cut through space like a knife. Its polished hull gleamed under the light of distant stars. Admiral Juwu stood tall on the command bridge, hands clasped behind his back. His dark uniform bore the marks of many victories. "How long until we reach the human ships?" he asked. Lieutenant Sungo checked his screen. 20 minutes, Admiral." Admiral Juwu nodded. The Emperor himself had sent him to deal with these humans. A new species had been found on the edge of Imperial space. Reports said they had only reached the stars recently. Such primitive beings would surely bow before the might of the Galactic Empire, which had ruled for 10,000 years. "Show me the human vessels again," ordered Admiral Juwu. The main screen lit up with images of the human ships. They looked strange and ugly to Imperial eyes. Where Imperial ships were smooth and elegant, human ships were blocky and covered with odd parts sticking out in all directions. They had visible patches and repairs. Some parts didn't even match the rest of the ship. "They look like they're falling apart," said Commander Do-Yun with a laugh. "This will be the easiest conquest in Imperial history." Admiral Juwu wasn't so sure. Something about these ships bothered him. They didn't look pretty, but they looked tough. Captain Minji of the Earth vessel Resilience read the report again. Alien ships were coming. First contact with a galactic civilization. "How many ships?" she asked. 5 large warships, replied her second-in-command. "Much bigger than ours. Very advanced." Captain Minji nodded. Humanity had prepared for this day. They had always known they weren't alone in the universe. They had planned for friendly aliens, and they had planned for hostile ones. "All ships, battle stations," she ordered calmly. "But keep weapons powered down. Let's not start a war if we don't have to." The crew moved quickly but without panic. They had trained for this. Admiral Juwu was surprised when his fleet arrived. The human ships didn't run. They didn't fire weapons. They simply formed a neat line and waited. "They're hailing us," reported the communications officer. "Put them on screen," ordered Juwu. The face of Captain Minji appeared. She looked so similar to his own species, yet different in small ways. She smiled politely. "Greetings, visitors. I am Captain Minji of the Earth Defense Force. Welcome to human space." Admiral Juwu stepped forward. "I am Admiral Juwu of the Galactic Imperial Fleet. I bring word from Emperor Taiho, ruler of 10,000 systems." He paused for effect. The human captain just waited, still smiling slightly. "The Emperor graciously offers to bring your species into the Imperial fold. You will submit to Imperial rule, pay the standard tribute, and receive the Empire's protection in return." Captain Minji's expression didn't change. "And if we prefer to remain independent?" Admiral Juwu frowned. Most species understood immediately. "Then the Empire will be forced to demonstrate its power. The Emperor's will is absolute throughout the galaxy." To his surprise, Captain Minji nodded as if this was a perfectly reasonable statement. "I understand. We request 48 hours to consider your terms and consult with our government." Admiral Juwu was prepared to give them 1 hour at most, but something in the human's calm demeanor made him hesitate. "Very well. You have 48 hours. Be warned, the Empire does not make offers twice." After the transmission ended, Commander Do-Yun approached. "Why give them so much time? They're clearly primitive." Admiral Juwu watched the human ships on the screen. "Something isn't right. These humans, they should be afraid. Everyone fears the Empire when they first meet us. But these humans," he trailed off. "These humans act like they've seen worse than us." Commander Do-Yun sat alone in his quarters aboard the Imperial flagship. The screen in front of him glowed with information about the newly discovered species called humans. As the Empire's chief military historian, he had seen the rise and fall of many civilizations. But something about these humans troubled him. "Computer, show me the human home planet again," he said. The screen changed to show Earth, a blue and green world. It looked peaceful from space. Now show me the planetary data. Numbers and charts appeared. Doyan's eyes widened as he read. Extreme weather, countless natural disasters, over 100,000 species of predators, deadly microbes, shifting continents. The humans had evolved on what the Empire classified as a death world. No wonder they weren't afraid, he whispered to himself. Aboard the human ship Resilience Engineer Gina led an Imperial visitor through the engine room. Engineer Hyunwoo had been sent to study human technology while the Empire waited for their answer. Why do you have 3 separate cooling systems? Asked Hyunwoo, looking confused. Gina smiled. Because cooling systems fail. When the first one fails, the second takes over. When the second fails, we still have the third. But that's so inefficient, said Hyunwoo. Imperial ships have one perfect system that never fails. Gina laughed. Nothing is perfect. Things always break, especially in battle. Hyunwoo looked around at the engine room. It was messy by Imperial standards, with exposed pipes and wires everywhere. And why is everything so easy to reach? He asked. So we can fix it when it breaks, Gina explained. Which part of your ship is easier to repair? The part you can reach, or the part hidden behind a perfect wall? Hyunwoo didn't answer. Imperial ships were not designed to be repaired during battle. They were designed to win without taking damage. Admiral Juwoo looked up as Commander Doyan entered his office. You look worried, Commander. I am worried, said Doyan. He placed a data pad on the Admiral's desk. I've been researching humans. They're not like other species we've conquered. Admiral Juwoo picked up the pad. Explain. Most species in the galaxy evolved in gentle environments. They developed technology before they developed weapons. War came later. Doyan paused. Humans are different. They've been fighting since before they could write. The screen showed ancient human battles. Stone weapons, metal swords, gunpowder, nuclear bombs. They fought each other, asked Juwoo. Constantly, for thousands of years. They nearly destroyed themselves many times. Admiral Juwoo frowned, but they survived. That's what worries me, said Doyan. They didn't just survive. They got stronger. Each war taught them new ways to fight, new ways to build, new ways to think. The screen now showed images of early human spaceships. Look at their first ships, Doyan continued. Primitive, yes, but already built for survival in harsh conditions. They didn't trust space, just like they didn't trust each other. Admiral Juwoo stood up and walked to the window. The human ships floated in the distance, looking small and weak compared to the Imperial fleet. You're saying we should fear them? He asked, sounding doubtful. I'm saying we should not underestimate them, Doyan replied. Most species we meet have never faced real danger. Humans have faced nothing but danger. Their entire history is about overcoming threats that should have killed them. Admiral Juwoo turned back to face his commander. The Empire has conquered 10,000 worlds. We will conquer this one too. Perhaps, said Doyan quietly. But I think these humans will not surrender easily. And if we force them to fight. He didn't finish the sentence. Admiral Juwoo's communicator beeped. The 48 hours are almost up, he said. Soon we will see what these humans decide. But for the first time in his long career, Admiral Juwoo felt uncertain about the outcome. The 48 hours were up. Admiral Juwoo stood on the bridge of the Eternal Glory looking at the small fleet of human ships. His patience had run out. Open a channel to the human vessel, he ordered. Captain Minji's face appeared on the screen. She looked calm, as if this were a normal day. Your time is up, said Admiral Juwoo. What is your answer? Will you join the Empire? Thank you for your patience, Admiral, said Minji. After careful thought, we must decline your offer. Humans prefer to remain independent. Admiral Juwoo had expected this. Few species accepted imperial rule without a demonstration of power. Very well. Since you do not understand the Empire's strength, we will show you. He turned to his weapons officer. Target their moon. Fire the main cannon. The asterisk Eternal Glory asterisk's main weapon fired a bright beam of energy. On the view screen, everyone watched as the beam hit the small moon. A huge explosion followed. When the light faded, a quarter of the moon was gone. Admiral Juwu smiled. This demonstration always worked. Now do you understand, Captain? That was only one ship on its lowest power setting. To his surprise, Captain Minji didn't look afraid. She looked bored. Is that all? She asked. Admiral Juwu felt his face get hot with anger. You dare to mock the Imperial fleet? Minji shook her head. Not mocking, Admiral. But we've seen worse. Much worse. On our own world, we once had weapons that could destroy entire planets. There was silence on the Imperial bridge. No primitive species should have such technology. You're lying, said Admiral Juwu. Perhaps, said Minji with a small smile. But are you willing to take that chance? We ask again to be left in peace. Admiral Juwu slammed his fist on the control panel. Enough. All ships, attack the human fleet. Show no mercy. Lieutenant Sungo watched as the Imperial ships moved into attack formation. It was a perfect pattern, used for thousands of years. The human ships should be trying to run. Instead, they were moving into a strange, messy formation that made no sense. What are they doing? He asked aloud. No one answered. The Imperial ships fired their weapons. Some hit the human ships, but many missed as the human vessels moved in unpredictable ways. Then the humans fired back. Their weapons weren't as powerful, but they all hit their targets. Impossible, whispered Sungo. No one could aim that well in the chaos of space battle. The comm system crackled. Human voices came through, sounding calm. Engine 3 is down, switching to 4. Hull breach in Section 7. Emergency patches holding. Rerouting power through secondary systems. The humans were taking damage, but keeping their ships running. Imperial ships, by contrast, were failing after just a few hits. Admiral Juwu couldn't believe what he was seeing. 3 Imperial ships were already badly damaged. The human vessels, though smaller and less advanced, kept fighting despite heavy damage. Their ships should be dead in space, he shouted. Why do they still function? Commander Do-young watched the battle with growing concern. Because they built them to survive, not to be perfect. A human ship, trailing smoke and debris, rammed into an Imperial cruiser. Both ships were damaged, but the human vessel pulled away and continued fighting while the Imperial ship drifted, dead in space. Fall back, ordered Admiral Juwu. All ships, retreat to safe distance. As the Imperial fleet pulled away, a message came from the human flagship. It was Captain Minji again. We'll be here when you're ready to talk peace, Admiral, she said. What bothered Admiral Juwu most wasn't her words. It was the sound he heard in the background. The humans were laughing. Dr. Junho, the Empire's chief scientist, stared at the piece of human technology in front of him. It was part of an engine from a damaged human ship they had recovered after the battle. Emperor Taho himself had ordered him to study it. This makes no sense, he muttered. The door to his lab opened. Engineer Gina from the human ship Resilience walked in, escorted by 2 Imperial guards. After the battle, both sides had agreed to a temporary truce. The humans had suggested sharing knowledge as a sign of good faith. You asked to see me, said Gina. Dr. Junho pointed at the engine part. I can't understand your technology. It's primitive, yet effective. Gina smiled. What don't you understand? This part here, said Dr. Junho. It's designed to break. Yes, said Gina. It's a fail-safe. Dr. Junho shook his head in confusion. In Imperial engineering, we design parts to never fail. Gina picked up the part. But everything fails eventually. This part is designed to fail first, in a way that protects more important components, and it's easy to replace, even during battle. But that's so. Dr. Junho searched for the right word. Inefficient, suggested Gina. Maybe, but it works. On the bridge of the Eternal Glory Admiral Juwu was watching a recording of the battle. He had played it 20 times already. I still don't understand how they beat us, he said. Commander Doyun pointed to the screen. Look at their movement pattern. There is no pattern. Each ship acts independently, adapting to the situation. But that's chaos, said Admiral Juwu. Military strength comes from unity and order. For us, yes, agreed Doyun. But these humans, they thrive in chaos. They expect things to go wrong. They plan for failure. Admiral Juwu frowned. This went against everything he had learned in 300 years of Imperial service. In a small meeting room, Captain Minji sat with her senior officers. They were reviewing the battle data. Their ships are more advanced than ours, said Minji. Better weapons, faster engines, stronger shields. But they're fragile, said Engineer Gina, who had just returned from the Imperial ship. One good hit in the right place, and their systems start to fail. No backups, no redundancies. And they fight like they're all one big ship, added the tactical officer. Predictable patterns. If you surprise them, they don't know what to do. Captain Minji nodded. They've never had to adapt. They've always been the strongest. Until now, said Gina with a small smile. Dr. Chunho was showing his findings to Admiral Juwu and other high-ranking officials. The humans build their ships expecting them to be damaged, he explained. Everything can be repaired or bypassed. They have backup systems for their backup systems. He showed them diagrams of human ships. See these thick walls between sections. If one part is destroyed, the rest keeps working. They call it compartmentalization. Admiral Juwu frowned, but their technology is inferior. Yes and no, said Dr. Chunho. Their individual components are less advanced, but the overall design. He paused. It's like they've been fighting wars in space for thousands of years. Impossible, said one official. They only reached the stars recently. No, said Commander Doyun. They've been fighting wars on their planet for thousands of years. They brought those lessons to space. A young ensign entered the room. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Imperial capital. Emperor Taeho wishes to speak with you. Admiral Juwu's face paled. The Emperor was not known for his forgiveness of failure. Tell him I'll be there immediately, he said. As the others left, Dr. Chunho whispered to Commander Doyun. I examined their weapons too. They're designed to target specific systems, not just cause general damage. What does that mean? Asked Doyun. It means, said Dr. Chunho, that they were holding back in the battle. They could have destroyed our ships, not just disabled them. The two Imperial officers looked at each other in silence, both thinking the same troubling thought. What kind of species chooses to show mercy when they could have destroyed their enemy? The massive Imperial warship Divine Judgment dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the human system. Behind it came 50 other warships, the elite Imperial fleet. On the bridge stood General Kyungho, a tall man with cold eyes and a face marked by scars from 100 battles. So these are the humans who humiliated Admiral Juwu, he said, looking at the view screen. Yes, General, replied his second-in-command. The Emperor has ordered you to bring them under Imperial control, by any means necessary. General Kyungho nodded. Send a message to their leader. Tell them to surrender immediately or be destroyed. On the Resilience Captain Minji received the message. More Imperial ships had arrived, many more than before, but she wasn't worried. In the week since the first battle, human reinforcements had also arrived. They have a new commander, said her communications officer. He demands our immediate surrender. Minji smiled. Send our standard reply. The officer nodded and sent the message. No, thank you. General Kyungho couldn't believe the response. No species had ever refused him twice. Begin the attack, he ordered. Formation Delta 7. The Imperial ships moved into a perfect arrow shape, with the strongest ships at the front. They had used this formation to crush rebellions across the galaxy. But the human ships did something strange. Instead of forming their own battle line, they scattered in all directions like a flock of birds when a predator attacks. "What are they doing?" asked the general. "I don't know, sir," said his tactical officer. "It makes no sense." General Kyung-go frowned. "It doesn't matter. Fire all weapons." The space between the fleets lit up with energy beams and explosions. Imperial ships fired in perfect coordination, but the scattered human ships were hard to hit, and when they were hit, they kept fighting. On the human command ship, Captain Minji spoke calmly into her communicator. "Execute Plan Thunderstorm." Across the human fleet, captains acknowledged the order with single words. "Thunder 1, Roger. Thunder 2, confirmed. Thunder 3, executing." To the Imperials watching, the human ships' movements made no sense. Some charged forward, others looped around. Some seemed to retreat, then suddenly turned back. In the heart of the battle, Engineer Gina worked with a small team inside a human scout ship. They had slipped behind the Imperial lines during the confusion. "Connecting to their communication network now," she said, plugging a device into a panel. "Will they detect us?" asked a young technician. Gina shook her head. "They don't expect anyone to hack their perfect systems." Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel. "I'm in. Sending false orders to their fleet now." On the bridge of the Asterisk, Divine Judgment Asterisk, chaos erupted. "General, the 7th Squadron is breaking formation," shouted an officer. "What?" "Order them back in position," commanded General Kyung-go. "I am, sir, but they say they're following your orders to move to Sector 4. "I gave no such order." Before he could say more, another officer called out, "Sir, the human ships are converging on the gap in our formation." General Kyung-ho watched in disbelief as his perfect battle plan fell apart. Human ships slipped through the holes in his formation, attacking from within. "How are they coordinating so well in this chaos?" he demanded. No one had an answer. The battle raged for hours. Imperial ships, designed for perfect conditions, struggled as systems failed. Human ships, though damaged, kept fighting. In the end, General Kyung-ho gave the order he had never given before. "All ships, retreat. I repeat, all ships retreat." As the Imperial fleet pulled back, laughter came through on their communication channels. The humans were laughing again. General Kyung-ho's face was dark with rage. "Cut that transmission." But the damage was done. For the first time in his 400-year career, the general had been defeated. And worse, his enemy was laughing at him. "Send a message to the Emperor," he said quietly. Tell him we need a different approach." Emperor Taho sat on his golden throne, looking down at Admiral Juwu and General Kyung-go. Both men knelt before him, heads bowed. The imperial court was silent, waiting for the emperor's judgment. "Two defeats," said Emperor Taho. His voice was soft, but it filled the great hall. "Two of my finest commanders, defeated by primitives." Neither officer spoke. There was nothing they could say. After a long silence, the emperor continued, "Perhaps force is not the answer this time." Whispers spread through the court. The empire had always used force to expand. "Ambassador Yumna," called the emperor. A woman stepped forward. She wore the white robes of the diplomatic corps, a group rarely used by the empire. "Yes, your majesty," she said with a bow. "You will go to the humans, learn about them, find a peaceful way to bring them into the empire." Ambassador Yumna bowed again. "As you command, Emperor." Captain Minji welcomed Ambassador Yumna aboard the Resilience Asterisk. The imperial diplomat looked around the ship with curious eyes. "Thank you for agreeing to talks," said Yumna. "We always preferred peace," replied Minji. "It was your empire that chose war." Yumna nodded. "The emperor has reconsidered that approach." "Because you lost twice," said Minji with a small smile. Yunha didn't deny it. Tell me, Captain, what do humans want? The same thing all species want. To live free, to explore, to grow. The Empire can help with that, said Yuna. We have technology, knowledge, resources. In exchange for obedience, finished Minji. In exchange for joining a system that has kept peace across the galaxy for 10,000 years, corrected Yuna. Minji led the ambassador to a meeting room where other human leaders waited. Let's discuss this with everyone. Ambassador Yunha was surprised by the human meeting. Everyone spoke freely, even disagreeing with their leaders. In the Empire, such behavior would be punished. Yet the humans seemed to value these different opinions. You allow such debate? She asked Minji quietly. Of course, replied the captain. How else would we find the best ideas? One person alone might miss something important. Yunha thought about the imperial court, where no one dared question the emperor. She wondered what ideas might have been lost because of fear. While the diplomatic talks continued, Admiral Hojin met secretly with other hardline imperial officers. The emperor is making a mistake, he said. These humans will never submit willingly. They must be forced. But our fleets have failed twice, said another officer. Admiral Hojin smiled coldly. We have other weapons. The planet killer is ready. The others looked shocked. The emperor has not authorized its use. The emperor has grown weak, said Hojin. Sometimes loyal servants must act without orders for the good of the empire. After 3 days of talks, Ambassador Yunha prepared to return to the empire. She had learned much about humans. I believe we can find a path forward, she told Captain Minji. Humans value their independence, but there may be room for cooperation without submission. Minji nodded. We hope so. We have no desire to be your enemies. As Yunha boarded her shuttle, she noticed something strange. Several Imperial warships were moving into new positions, away from the main fleet. What are those ships doing? She asked her pilot. The pilot checked his instruments. I'm not sure, Ambassador. They aren't responding to standard hails. Yunha felt a chill. Something was wrong. She tapped her communicator. Captain Minji, I think there may be a problem. But before she could explain, alarms began to sound throughout the human fleet. Someone in the Empire had decided that if humans wouldn't join willingly, they wouldn't join at all. Admiral Hojin stood on the bridge of the Imperial Wrath watching as his small fleet moved away from the main Imperial forces. On the main screen was an image of Earth, the human homeworld. Is the planet killer ready? He asked. Yes, Admiral, replied his weapons officer. Charging now. It will be ready to fire in 10 minutes. Admiral Hojin smiled. The planet killer was the Empire's ultimate weapon. It had been used only 3 times in 10,000 years, each time to destroy a world that refused to submit. After today, humans would be just another extinct species in the Imperial records. Sir, called the communications officer, we're receiving a message from Ambassador Yuna. She's demanding to know what we're doing. Ignore her, ordered Hojin. And block all communications from the Emperor's fleet too. We do what must be done. On the Resilience alarms sounded throughout the ship. Captain Minji rushed to the bridge. Report, she commanded. A group of Imperial ships have broken off from the main fleet, said the tactical officer. They're powering up some kind of massive weapon. Energy readings are off the charts. They're targeting Earth, said another officer, his voice tight with fear. Captain Minji's face grew hard. Send emergency code Omega to Earth Defense Command. All ships, prepare to intercept. Ambassador Yuna, who had followed Minji to the bridge, looked pale. Captain, I swear I knew nothing of this. The Emperor authorized peace talks, not this. I believe you, said Minji. But it seems not all your people follow the Emperor's orders. In a hidden control room deep under Earth's surface, Chief Scientist Joyoung received the emergency alert. Her hands moved quickly over the control panel. "Defense network status?" she asked. "All systems online," replied her assistant. "But we've never tested it against something of this magnitude." Jiayang nodded grimly. "We always knew this day might come. That's why we built it." She pressed a series of buttons. "Activating planetary shield now." Admiral Hojin watched as the planet killer reached full power. The massive weapon extended from the bottom of his ship, glowing with deadly energy. "Target locked on the human homeworld," reported the weapons officer. "Fire," ordered Hojin. A blinding beam of energy shot from the weapon, streaking toward Earth. Admiral Hojin watched with satisfaction. No world had ever survived the planet killer. But as the beam approached Earth, something unexpected happened. A blue glow appeared around the planet. When the deadly beam hit this glow, it scattered in all directions, like light hitting a mirror. "What's happening?" demanded Hojin. "Report." "The weapon's energy is being deflected," said the stunned weapons officer. "The planet has some kind of shield." "Impossible," shouted Hojin. "No species at their level should have planetary shield technology." On Earth, Chief Scientist Jiayang watched the shield holding against the attack. The room shook, and warning lights flashed on her control panel. "Shield at 70% capacity," reported her assistant. "It's working, but it won't hold forever." Jiayang opened a channel to all human ships. "The shield is holding for now, but we need to stop that weapon." In space, the human fleet moved to attack Admiral Hojin's ships. Captain Minji led the charge, her ship racing toward the asterisk Imperial Wrath asterisk. "Target the weapon's power source," she ordered. "All ships, focus fire." The human vessels, smaller but more nimble, swarmed around the Imperial ships. Their weapons fired in precise coordination, all hitting the same points. Admiral Hojin watched in disbelief as his ship's defenses failed. "How did they know exactly where to hit us?" he demanded. His tactical officer had no answer. The truth was simple. Humans had spent centuries thinking about how to defeat powerful enemies. They had prepared for threats they hadn't even met yet. As the planet killer began to break apart, Admiral Hojin realized his fatal mistake. He had brought the Empire's ultimate weapon against a species that had been expecting it all along.